Today on What's the Hook?
Or if a nigga know how to play the saxophone, or he got a fresh edge up. We got to vote for him. You know what I'm saying? It's
or
like
he's friends with one of the most popular black men in America.
Right.
Facts, right? Instead of like you look at the LGBT community and you look at Mexicans and stuff like that. They got things passed because they put money behind things they wanted, and it was like, you want this bread, you got to push these particular things. Right. Whereas black people just say, yo, we just want you in office because because you do something dope. We don't. We rarely ever.
That's scary because Kanye will be next.
Oh, it's about to be a celebrity battle. I think right now people like put Oprah in there. Like, I can't put no fucking Oprah in the. Are you crazy? Don't stop trying to put like celebrities in there. We get the right person in there, but also put the money together. So you want something, so we can get something pushed. Also, as black people as a whole, we rarely ever put our money together. Like you said, they put their money together. They knock on the door like, yo, bro, we gave y'all 50 G's.
Right.
And that's not saying I wouldn't vote for Kanye.
You would vote for Kanye?
He from Chicago.
Oh, God.
He's from Chicago. He vote for Kanye.
Same reason why we just
You know Kanye's no longer
being
Chicago
a nigga.
Kanye. Chicago's Calabasas Kanye now, so.
I mean, yeah, she got a point.
He got real sensitive.
Whoa.
Calabasas.
You said Chicago is Calabasas?
No, I said Kanye is no longer Chicago Kanye.
Oh, I thought you should have said
you about to get
Chicago.
upset. Better change this whole podcast.
I was like, hold on
Listen
now.
up that
I
shirt.
thought you said Chicago is Calabasas. I said, whoa.
Welcome to another episode of What's the Hook podcast. I'm your host, Bileko Wissa, here with
Keenan Baker, baby. We back in this.
back.
Oh, I already started off extra animated with our guests.
Right.
I apologize.
This is unbelievable.
You can bleep that out.
We grabbed.
You can bleep that out. I apologize.
It's
Be yourself.
Oh, I am. Trust me. We're going down that road.
And we're here with.
Oh, Huca Bera.
This guy has no confidence right
No,
now.
I'm like, he just sent me to some pictures of Michael. I don't know what that was. That was weird.
Michael Jordan?
Yeah, it was like Michael Jordan. That's another. We'll talk
That's a whole other thing. Remember, he's drunk.
Yeah.
Say he was drunk.
Introduce our lovely guest.
Yeah, and we have an important guest with an important topic.
Yes.
We are here with Luca. Yeah.
I have to give a correction because,
Yeah, I didn't say it correctly.
Luco.
thank you.
Luca.
Yes.
How you Congolese, nigga? You don't know that.
I don't.
He didn't even know about
I'm,
all the people from the East.
No, I'm what you call it. I'm like on clearance. Like
You a clearance Congolese person? Nigga find you at Marshall's?
Yeah.
DJ Maxx?
Like I was 49.99, but it's holiday season. I'm 44.96. I'm on clearance right now.
So you just go get the Echo shirts and Mecca, Nautica shirts from?
Nautica. So today we wanted to talk about politics in 2019 and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, Luco,
Yes, sir.
what's your name, educational background? How did you get into politics?
Wait,
What's your name? This nigga sounds like this is DJ Envy shit.
I know.
So what are politics?
He said, Luco, what's your name?
you said DJ Envy.
Right. And no disrespect to DJ Envy, big fan of what they do.
No,
but shit.
no, I'm a huge fan too, but that's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Yes, Luco. I'm sorry.
Got it. So I'm Luco Kasomo.
Ooh.
Very, very fun, right?
What does your name stand for?
So Luco
for-
means grace in Kinande. So I'm from a group of folks who originate from the eastern part of Congo.
Hey.
So
Interesting.
grace.
You ain't ever tell me about that, B? Didn't
No,
know nothing about
because
that.
I'm coming from the west part of Congo where the grass is greener.
Okay, cool.
Actually,
They got East Coast
the
and West
East
Coast
is where
wars
it's
over-
greener.
It's a whole thing.
We do. We have. It's very serious.
She's
Wow.
actually from there, so I think she might actually know.
Yeah.
What's that
pretty
mean?
You from you Congolese, but you from LA.
Yeah, you right.
She saw the motherland and touched it.
I did too. When
Well,
was it?
Okay.
Well, we'll have to get into that because
Yeah.
we got to swap stories about the
Yeah.
experiences because I have some stories.
She's rolling her eyes at me. That Howard
I'm
roll,
not.
I roll.
It's not that. So I went to Howard for grad school. I got my MBA there. For undergrad, I went to San Jose State, and that's where I did political science.
My brother went.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did political science for undergrad, and then decided that I wanted to leave California and go actually be involved in politics. And so I went to D.C. and worked for Congressman Serrano for several years, and then also worked at a couple different think tanks. And now I'm working in defense.
Dope.
Defense.
Super dope.
Defense
Yes.
of what?
Defense of this nation.
I thought she was like, I can't give you all
I
that
know, right,
information, brother.
Yes.
So previous to what you're doing now, what specifically did you work on? Like, I know you were telling me you worked on like SNAP, which is like what do you call that? It's
Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
yeah, or what they used to call like food stamps, right?
Right.
EBT, that's the same thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Food stamps,
Thank
EBT,
you. Appreciate you. Yeah,
Yeah.
good for the community.
CalFresh for here in California.
Right.
CalFresh is a beautiful thing.
Yes. So prior to working in defense, I was a congressional staffer. So basically, every state has a certain amount of representatives that represent both in the House and on the Senate side. And I worked for a representative from New York. So I was on the House side. So we are more so involved on the local area politics. So I worked heavily in Bronx related and oriented politics. So I was handling a lot of like his social welfare stuff. So SNAP, agriculture, health, housing, education, things of that sort. Just trying to make sure that the people got right.
Okay.
Can I say something before we start?
Sure.
Yeah.
This
We already
whole
started,
epi-
nigga.
this,
Before we start,
We 7 minutes in, but go ahead.
this whole episode, I'm gonna feel a little weird now since we're talking about politics and stuff. Because I look like a prisoner with this shirt on.
With that denim,
that denim.
that ridiculous
Little
ass denim you got
chambray.
on. You know what you remind me of?
Shawshank.
You remind me of the dude from Paid in Full that had an issue with like Cameron and them.
Hilarious.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, exactly. What
Like he was like, I'm fly out here. That's what you remind me of, dog. I can't trust you, nigga.
right. You button up all the way.
You button
too?
up all the
Why
way?
are you putting it up? You don't have to
Bruh,
be so official over here.
I don't know,
Bro, and the collar's not even fixed.
You kind of look
Yeah.
drunk.
You just let me get on camera like this?
You a grown man with a child, huh?
Come on, man. You
You
married,
didn't address
man.
yourself, man. What's happening here?
You're married, Huck.
What?
You're married, Huck.
Let's go. Let's go.
But anyway, so you said SNAP, you deal with health, and you deal with housing
Mm-hmm.
and education. I want to start with SNAP, with food stamps and EBT, right?
Okay.
For our viewers that don't know what SNAP is or whatever, how do you qualify to get on SNAP?
So every state kind of has their own qualifications. As I mentioned earlier, here in California, it's known as CalFresh.
Yeah.
And so you can go onto, if you just like put in SNAP in Google or benefits, I think it's benefits.gov,
DPSS benefits.gov.
and it'll direct
Doesn't
you
matter.
to the California site. So there you can apply. But basically it's income based. I think for here, if you are an individual and you make less than $2,000, you qualify. Like that's your gross salary. And then it goes up for, 2 people household, 3 people household and whatnot. So they have different salary indicators in order for you to qualify to get the benefits.
Do you think, like, I don't know, whenever I see somebody that's on food stamps, because when my father died, we were on food stamps
Mhm.
or whatever, right? And of course, my mom worked her ass off, got us out of it or whatever. But what do you think about people that are like stay on food stamps, that are just like, no, I'm just gonna stay in this lifestyle? Do you think it's like a good thing?
I mean, I can't really say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I have a lot more empathy, I guess, after working in politics and kind of understanding a lot of people have like very generational issues in terms of economically not being able to transition from one place to another. I think as Africans, we're so prideful. So anytime you meet folks who maybe when they came here and they were on SNAP or they were on, government assistance of some sort,
Right.
like our big thing is always we want to hustle and make sure that we get out of that because, you
Bad
don't want to
look.
be, it's a bad look. Like I wasn't on government assistance back there. Why would I be on government assistance here? Right.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Uh,
I don't give a shit. I swipe my car with pride. Right here in my wallet right now.
hey.
You can go to farmer's market with this.
You can actually.
Yeah.
You can go to farmers market. They will accept them at like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and some of these other places as well. So that's kind of a misconception in terms of where you can utilize these benefits.
Oh, I'm bougie with the EBT.
It's-
Only Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and farmers markets. I don't go to. We're out here going to the regular Stater Brothers and Albertsons.
Stater Brothers.
What? Ralph's. We're in LA. What do you mean?
No. Hey, wait, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Like Stater
Ralph's
Brothers.
Vons.
That's
What?
going to Riverside? What's Keenan doing?
Right?
Good. No, but it's weird because, when we'll get into like housing and like redlining later, but like I would only see EBT accepted in fast food restaurants. So I would
Mhm.
never think about like you could use your EBT card to go get healthy food.
I mean, for a long time, there was definitely an assistance gap in terms of where you could accept, where those benefits were accepted, right? But we also, folks recognize, like, just because someone is considered low income or below income, that doesn't necessarily mean that they also don't want to be healthy and access, nutritious
Right.
and good food, right? Like you're talking
Yeah.
about going to the farmer's market.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a big thing in terms of being able to make sure folks can still access, their
Yeah.
nutritional value. So
And also too, you get different. Like I don't get hot food. People don't get hot food and cold food. Like you
Right.
get there's a difference between being able to go to Jack in the Box and use your EBT. People don't get that access. You only get access to cold food.
yeah.
Yeah, or food you got to cook or whatever the case may be.
Cold food, that's what it's called?
Well, I guess it's like food that's like that you actually have to prepare.
Right.
Oh.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's a whole like classifications and
Mhm.
different things apply to different folks. So it's really, if anyone needs food assistance, definitely they have to go on and apply.
Yeah.
And the good thing, there are a lot of community centers that do really well in terms of like providing guidance to folks and walking them through the process. And so that's one thing that I would always recommend to like our constituents when they would call us and reach out and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. I would direct them to our local office, and normally our local office would then say, here are the community organizations that we work with that can provide you guidance on this.
She said my constituents. And I'm just like, this lady's running for office.
I'm not running. Let me just make it clear also, and I mean
2020.
anything that we say here, it's all about my views. I'm not going to be running for office. I have no desire after working in politics.
They all say that.
Oh, so
no. I'm one of those true people. Like I definitely do not. It would be. Yeah.
do you do you fuck with politics for real? Like is it real, or is
What do you mean?
it a smokescreen?
It's as real as you are.
Oh, as real as I am, huh? Sounds I don't know. Sounds like some smokescreen shit. That's what it sounds like. I don't know if I can fully trust that statement right there.
Billionaire.
Oh well, as Black people, we have a lot of concerns with politics. We have a lot of either what some people call conspiracy theories, some people call it facts, some people call it just distrust because politics haven't been on our side.
It sounds like Black people just don't trust nothing.
Well, no.
Well, why should we? With all the shit, I mean, whether it comes to medical,
We don't trust the medicine. We don't
Tuskegee
trust the politics.
experiments,
We don't trust the
Tuskegee experiments. That's
Yeah.
why medical. Okay, go ahead.
Name it.
I'm just saying, doctors. We don't trust
But
politics.
there's
We
all
don't
reasons for it though.
Yeah, we have 700 years
I'm just
of
saying.
evidence.
I guess we don't trust anything.
Why should Black people specifically trust politics
Why should they trust politics?
Or believe in it.
or
at
believe
least.
in it? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would say trust and believe, right? Because as you've already mentioned, there are so many examples and reasons as to why somebody should be distrustful.
Mm.
I definitely think that Black people should be more engaged in politics. And we're seeing an uptick of that now. More folks are trying to become involved at all levels, both local and higher offices.
Mhm.
And really, folks need to be involved in order to dictate the things that happen. I saw that a lot in terms of when people go to Capitol Hill and they go lobby and they're doing policy.
Mhm.
You have certain groups that are very connected and they're able to impact different legislation and different laws that are written because they're constantly at the door like, hey,
Right.
we gave you 1 million. What are you doing?
Right.
We gave you 50,000. What are you doing? We're constantly giving you money. We're constantly hooking you up, whether it's through our businesses or whatever it might be. And so those are the folks that have been able to really move the needle.
I think you make a great
No, that's actually
Point.
a great point.
because I think as Black people, one, we lack education in that field. Right. And I think another thing is too, I think when it comes to voting for us, we like to vote with love. Or
Take that
or
emotion out.
or if a nigga know how to play the saxophone,
I'm about to say that.
or he got a fresh edge up. We
Or
got to
he-
vote for him. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
or
like
he's friends with one of the most popular Black men in America.
right.
facts, right? Instead of like you look at the LGBT community and you look at Mexicans and stuff like that. They got things passed because they put money behind things they wanted, and it was like,
Right.
you want this bread, you got to push these particular things.
Right.
Whereas Black people just say, yo, we just want you in office because
He cool.
because you do something dope. We don't.
cool.
We rarely ever.
That's scary because Kanye will be next.
Oh, it's about to be a
Oh,
celebrity
gosh.
battle. I think. I think
Yeah.
right now people like put Oprah in there. Like, I don't put no fucking Oprah in the. Are you crazy? Don't stop trying to put like celebrities in there. We get the right person in there,
Right.
but also put the money together. So you want something, so we can get something pushed. Also, as
Right.
Black people as a whole, we rarely ever put our money together. Like you said, they put their money together. They knock on the door like, yo, bro, we gave y'all 50 G's.
Right.
Now that's saying that's
gave
not
you
saying I
100
wouldn't
G's.
vote for Kanye.
You would
You
vote for
from-
Kanye?
He from
from
Chicago.
Chicago.
gosh.
From Chicago.
From Chicago. He voted for Kanye.
Yeah.
Same reason
Chicago.
why we just
You know Kanye's
Exactly.
no longer
Being a
Chicago
nigga.
Kanye.
Yeah.
Chicago's
God.
Calabasas Kanye now, so
Huh?
I mean, yeah, she got a
No,
point.
He got real sensitive.
Whoa.
Calabackless.
You said Chicago is Calabasas?
No,
No.
I said Kanye is no longer Chicago Kanye.
I thought you should have said
Oh, you about to get
Chicago.
upset.
He's ready. He's looking
I'm gonna change this whole podcast.
I was like, hold on
Listen
now.
up that
I
shirt.
thought you said Chicago is Calabasas. I said, whoa.
No. I said the Kanye of today is no longer Chicago Kanye. He's
But
Calabasas.
So let me ask you, how do we do that? How or what are some things we can do to do that? One, educate ourselves more, and then two, actually start getting our money together. And how do we get our money together to start to get stuff?
I mean, I think it's the first thing, like you said, educate yourself. Like,
Mm.
if I were to ask you today, who's your representative? You know?
Just even your councilman, we don't even know. Like local.
Yeah, like local. Do you know who's a part of your school board? Do you know who has run for the county? You know, these are questions that when I talk to people, most people wouldn't know.
Every time I hear
marks.
politics when I was younger, I thought it started C-SPAN. I was like, oh God, it's that channel bored the hell out of me when I hear politics or voting. That's what I was thinking when I was a kid. I was
Right.
like, oh, this reminds me of C-SPAN. My dad used to watch this shit.
You know, it's weird. I only think of three people. Like when you would ask somebody, you would know your mayor,
Mm-hmm.
maybe governor,
Mm-hmm.
and president. That's it. I don't know
Mm.
anything else. Councilman. You said what? Board of what?
School board.
What's
member.
that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's-
All that's important. Like,
I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty generous. Like,
Yeah.
if you at least even knew your mayor, your governor, and who else-
president
and the
Just-
president. Like,
the
most
country.
people just know the president of the country, if that.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you get into who's the governor, and when you get into, you know, no one knows like who's the lieutenant governor, so there's a whole line for each level.
No,
in terms
we don't know
of,
like the city
of-
manager. We don't know anything like that.
right, the controller, none of these people. So the first thing really that I tell people is like, you know, if you're living in a neighborhood that is dealing with some like resource issues, you have to know who those local people are, right?
Yeah.
So when I say resource issues, a lot of low income neighborhoods, low income communities,
Mm.
folks, you know, oftentimes, unfortunately, we're hustling, right? Like we don't have the means to really take that time to say like, I'm going to go and spend an hour at my child's school to figure out who's running for the school board
Right,
or
right.
something of that, because it's like, that's an hour that I could be making.
What do you think about the current state of the government
The government as a whole,
right now? Yes.
what do I think about it?
Yes.
I mean, hey,
She reserves judgment.
She actually like, huh? What? Okay, say that again.
life goes on, right? I'm kidding. No, it's very unfortunate to see how things, where we are, to say. I almost feel like in an odd sense, even though as millennials in this generation, like we have so much access to information, it almost seems like we're going backwards.
It makes
in
you
a lot of
dumber.
ways.
Yeah.
As,
Facts.
and having worked in politics, I think that was one of the hardest things, especially towards the end of my time. It was just like you're putting in so much labor and so much work and trying to pass things, and nothing was going through. And so when our current president decided to run, at first, you know, it seemed very much like a fluke. But for those of us who grew up here in California, we remember Schwarzenegger when he came through, and everyone thought,
Yeah.
right? And everyone thought that was a joke. And
Caminada.
it became very real. So I knew that wasn't right. The governor, it wasn't beyond the realm of plausibility. But what's happening right now, it's really disheartening, because a lot of the people in which this administration really has been hindering towards are the people that support him. So when you look at West Virginia and you look at, you know, Appalachia, there's a lot of low income white folks that are there who
Right.
really love Donald Trump, unfortunately.
And they felt left out. So they feel like, oh, now, you know,
Right.
he's paying attention to our needs.
Until the bills come, and then they start wondering, like, well, how come my health insurance isn't covering what it used to cover? Why is my Medicare becoming less and less? Why are
They
all
didn't know what
these-
these things even meant. They didn't know what the
Yeah.
Affordable Care Act was.
right?
Yeah. It was like, well, I do this instead. And it was like, you know, that's still Obamacare, right?
And even
no.
what's
Yeah.
even more funny
Take
about
that name
the-
off.
right, Obamacare, like that was first actually pitched in Massachusetts before even, you know, Obamacare picked it up, right? And we look at like where that came from. It wasn't necessarily an idea that was just originated under Obama.
Right,
This
right.
had other folks that had pitched
So if
it.
you had to give Obama a rating
Oh,
on
no.
a scale of 1 through 5,
Why are you
Oh,
doing
shit.
this to
Wait,
me?
you know what? No. It has nothing to do about Obama. What state did he govern?
Oh God.
Illinois. Exactly. That's what he's doing. Go ahead, man. Go ahead,
Yes,
man.
if you had to give him a rating of a scale of 1 through 5 as far as how good he did, what would you give him?
What would you rate him? Because this is
Ooh, she hit you with the.
Yeah,
With
me
it.
with a
With the reverse back. Yeah, the reverse back.
Caught it and bumped it back. to
Uno
you.
reverse.
Hey, that's hilarious.
yes.
I would give him a 4.
Out of 10.
And why?
No, out of 5.
Oh, okay.
4.
And why would you say?
I would say that healthcare that was very big for me.
Mm.
Okay.
And yeah, he did a lot of good things. Obviously, like
Very
you know
big.
Saddam Hussein and
Yeah.
caught a few people. So
Did he get Saddam? Yeah, he got Saddam,
yeah,
right?
he got Saddam.
Yeah.
Or they did.
I feel like when it comes to that level of the president, I feel like
Oh no! Before I say this,
yeah.
he helped take care of it. Our soldiers did a good job. I'm sorry, I don't know discredit them or anything. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Huck, I
right.
don't know why you took like all right.
That was good. Good. Look, you see what you did? You made it more
Yeah.
like political now.
Yeah.
He's professional. You never talk like that on the podcast. That's good, Huck.
Well,
That's good.
I would say, do you feel that in that particular case, when it comes to the presidents of the country, do you feel like it's more like, all right, they're kind of more along the lines being paid off, whereas local, do you feel like it's better to focus more locally for especially for, cause I'm speaking, I guess, specifically for Black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us to change stuff, is it better for us to be local first? And then not necessarily like not worry about the president, but like, yo, let's focus on our community. Let's vote locally. Let's get the right people in there so things can change. Is that a better focus, or should we focus on the bigger picture or the president first?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I mean, I personally am more so about the focus on local, right? Like you have to think
Right.
about what's most impactful. It's the things that affect you in your home and your community,
Mm.
Yeah.
because that's where you are every single day. If a president comes to your town, I mean, how much information is he going to know about?
Only
And
thing-
backs up traffic,
Yeah,
too.
oh, that's the
fucking
only thing they
ridiculous.
do is mess up traffic.
Right.
That's it.
But if you were to ask him, like, hey, I'm from X town and these are the issues that we're going, have you heard? You know, most of the time they'd be like, yeah, because they've
Shake
been
hands,
prepped,
kiss
right?
baby.
Like, people like myself, we're there to be like, these are the 3 facts that you need to know about this area that you're going to today morning. But in terms,
Like Scandal. Oh, shit. It's Scandal.
yeah,
So
We
if
probably-
you were the president of the United States, what
What did he say?
if I was the president
Keenan?
of the United States,
If you were president of the United States,
yes,
what would you change? How would you go by doing it? Like what
Goodness.
one thing would you focus on, and how would you go by doing it?
what? Okay, right? Like,
Are these crazy questions?
No, you're just
these are
funny.
valid
You're just-
questions.
You're just funny.
Because you're like, okay, go.
I mean, I really like the income disparity is a major issue in this country, and part of it stems from like education and inability to like access quality education. And when I say education, I did listen to your guys' college podcast.
Holla.
Mhm.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Very interesting. But really being able to
that means she don't agree 100%.
No,
With none of
mean,
us.
I agree. Like college is one of those things that's your experience, right? So being able to at least provide
My experience is
access,
they haven't did anything for me, but go ahead.
This guy Huck is so mad.
right? We're all waiting for the payout. But in terms of education, just being able to allow people to access whether it's trade school or your more formal routes, something that could at least get them into a quality, a job that would give them some sort of quality income to provide for their family.
Quality life.
Yeah, quality life. And that doesn't mean that we all have to be millionaires, and that doesn't mean that we all are aspiring to the same quality of life. But to me, I think it's really disheartening that you have children growing up in this country, one of the richest countries of the world, and they go
In
to
theory.
bed hungry, right? In theory.
Uh-huh.
And they go to bed hungry. I mean, and part of that is because their parents or whoever they're living with aren't able to afford their basic everyday, needs.
It's amazing because it's a domino effect with that.
Yeah.
Their mental health.
Yeah.
Right? They develop bad mental health. They develop bad, like, physical health.
Right.
Right? And it's like, as somebody that's in politics,
Mhm.
your role, somebody that's in politics, your role
Yep.
is to sacrifice your being. You're not in for the money. You're in it to serve and help the community.
Mhm.
So it really drives me crazy when you have these politicians that won't answer simple questions. Like right now we're living in an era where Black people are asking about reparations, and these representatives won't even answer the question.
Well, I was gonna get into that.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about? I think it's called the benign neglect policy or neglect acts or something like that.
Neglect acts, no.
No, the benign. I think it's. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I just know it's something about like pretty much where politicians don't discuss black issues.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a real thing.
They did in the 60s. They started that
Right.
after the civil rights.
Why? So
My goodness.
that's why I'm saying for black people, how can we trust politicians if you won't even discuss our issues? That's how I feel. That's like that's how I've always felt like with any president. It's like
Mhm.
like you look how like people talk about Obama, right? They'd be like, oh, Obama, he went hard for a lot of gay issues. He went hard for the like Hispanics and stuff like that. And then people are like, well, what did he do for black people?
Mhm.
And it's like some people sometimes they'd be like, well, he did things that affected black people, but people don't care about that. They're like, no, what directly did he
Right.
do?
Mhm.
What president has directly affected black people in a positive way? Now, we know what they did negatively.
Right.
And then why won't they ever want to discuss our issues publicly? And why do we still fuck with them if they do?
And that's the issue too. Like if you ask a politician, right? Like what's his name? Bernie Sanders. He was on
Mhm.
Breakfast Club, right? Shout out to
Yeah.
Breakfast Club.
Hey.
And they asked him about reparations, and he didn't answer it. So we shouldn't vote for him.
I mean, yeah, we got.
You should like if you can't what should we do for reparations? I'm Congolese. I don't deserve any reparations money. My blood isn't here. Your guys' blood is here.
Mm.
You deserve some type of reparations, not even a thank you card. All right, well, thank you guys for slavery. You guys built this country.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And, all right, sorry, we put you guys in slavery. Nothing.
So
Right.
so why do you think? Why is that in place?
Damn it.
I mean, I think part of it is also like a lot of times people want to say the black issues are really like these economic based issues because we're looking at black folks for the most part are in low income,
Homeless, all that shit.
right, low income communities. And so for a lot of politicians, they're like, well, I'm handling issues that pertain to middle wage and low income folks. And as black folks, you guys are there. So kind of by proxy, that's what that is. I mean, the other thing too, it's like America hasn't had the best track record, right, in dealing with the black community here.
Mm.
There's a lot of things, you know, when we talk about segregation and
Mm.
in terms of just trying to figure out like how do we make the balance, it's always kind of like, well, you know, you guys are moving forward, people are accessing education, you're essentially slavery and whatever happened doesn't matter. So this conversation of reparations doesn't matter. But it's really a lot of folks. Also, you have a lot of politicians that just aren't educated. I mean, there's so many issues that are out there depending on the demographic in which you're dealing with. If you're a representative and you're dealing with a more affluent community, this conversation about reparations is kind of like most of the people that I represent, this is not an issue for them. So why is it an issue for me? So oftentimes it's really like that's that lack of prioritization, which, you know, we can talk about Black Lives Matter. They've done a lot of great things. Sometimes some of their tactics could, you know, there's some criticism there in terms of ways in which they could be doing things better. But the one thing that I will say that Black Lives Matter has done is that they really were very vocal about making issues that pertain to the Black community come forward and really putting it, you know, in front of politicians. And sometimes that's like really what it is. It's like you have to present and be very forceful about these are the issues that are affecting me and my community. So with the reparations thing, you know, politics is also the song and dance of like media, right? So you have somebody behind you who's telling you when the reparations question comes, like, you got the staffer that's like, don't do it, don't do it. Because we don't want to deal with that media fallout the minute you leave here.
How would you propose this to a politician? Like this
reparations?
I
mean,
like, how would you give it? Like,
oh, go ahead first. I'll go second.
Me personally, I don't know.
how should they handle this?
All right, I don't know exactly myself, right? But if I'm the first person I would probably call somebody like Dr. Claude Anderson. He was somebody I would probably call. He did a book called Powernomics. I would probably call him immediately and be like, all right, if they were coming to me, I'd be like, I need help, of course, crafting this.
I'm proud of you. I didn't know. That's great. That's a good book.
Oh yeah, it is. But also too, one of the late greats, Patrice O'Neal, he suggested for reparations.
Right.
He was like, black people can't get a whole bunch of money, right? I'm paraphrasing what he's saying here. I'm paraphrasing, which I agree with. I think you give us a whole bunch of money, we're gonna fuck it off.
No, but that's not the thing. You should still
wait. Listen to what I'm saying. Pretty much the majority of us gonna fuck it off, right? We're gonna pretty much give it right back to white people by spending some shit, which is that's to me we should get either some type of land back, a whole bunch of land, or what he suggested was black people shouldn't have to pay federal income tax.
Okay.
And I was like, since you're saying we're owed trillions, I mean, shit. We should take a couple years off federal income tax, bruh. I think we should get a good 20 years.
Only?
I'm
You come from a generation of.
Yeah, I agree. It could be 100 or a few hundred years of no federal income tax. But of course, they want to do nothing like that because now we get wealth and the power switches, and we probably will run the country at that point, and then that's.
Well, yeah, because you got these communities that live off jails. You know what I'm saying? Or of prisons. They need somebody to fill in those prisons.
Yeah, they need that cheap the free labor.
Damn near free to cheap labor, which this country is based off of. It was based off free labor. That's why remember in the college episode we talk about college athletes need to get paid. That's neither here or there, right? But the first thing should be like reparations, right? Black people deserve reparations. If you can, it's not even to prove. Like, whatever, if you have to go through, like, a system where it's like, was your grandfather here, blah, 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 this, you should deserve a certain amount of reparations. I don't know the numbers. I don't know what they do with the Japanese, what they do with the Jewish people in Germany or whatnot, but black people deserve some type of reparations, one. Second, you should even say, like, a thank you or make it national, be like, hey, we're sorry, thank you. That's just good conscience and good.
You can't say thank you because that means you owe us.
Yeah, I'm like,
as soon as they say thank you, okay, you did wrong. You owe us now.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. That should be. I think that should be in the whole package. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah. What's that movie? And the cop was sitting at the end of the table. He's like, you fucked up now, right?
Yeah. You know you fucked up now, right? And then after you do that, you talk about okay, what are ways you can try to help out the black community, right? We're talking homelessness, right?
Absolutely,
right? Especially here in California, because California has the second highest amount of homelessness in the USA. I think New York is first or whatever, but especially here in LA, Skid Row is fucking. It looks like walking zombies. Like we don't do nothing to help the homeless. Their health care, I'm helping with housing, education, even their mental health with like they might suffer from bipolar disorder.
Right.
Maybe try to get them lithium, get them on medication, or anything like that, right? Second, with education, what are ways we can help out African Americans with education, providing education centers in their neighborhoods? Here's the thing: if you don't want black people to live in your neighborhood, they're in your country. Just help them in their own neighborhood. Hello. Look, that doesn't sound crazy because every other community, they have community centers in their community, right? They have like the Jewish community center. You might have even whatever Armenian community center or whatever. So black people, we create it or the government tries to help us create that so we can have our own community center since you don't want to help us, right?
Right.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I think part of the problem too with the black community and what I kind of came to realize, being African, like we also have like our own little division if we talk about Africans, Caribbean
like
folks, and
I don't even know why she's here, but it's a whole thing. We beefing.
All that. But it wasn't really until I like started working in the Bronx and meeting more folks, and you have folks that would sit down and tell you like their whole family history of like my family came from the South, they migrated up to the North, and all that, and understanding like. For this country, really how black folks have contributed to the wealth and prosperity of America, right?
Oh.
Right now, it's kind of just like, well, 400 years have passed. You all are pretty much now, you're American. And that's part of where you don't get the thank you. It's like, why should we thank you? You guys are just as American, but you're not. Yeah, we've made you Americans now.
We've made you Americans.
We've made you Americans now. So you shouldn't consider yourself to be different than anybody else, right? Like, it's the whole thing. And it's this constant saying of like, black people don't have the things that we know to be false, right? Like they don't have culture or they're American. It's all a part of that kind of media melee to say this shouldn't be important. Like you should value yourself as an American, just like the last person who was here, right? Just like your other neighbors. So.
But they always fight for everybody else and get there's like
No, but here's the thing. Yeah. There's been laws that have been put in place to discourage black people in this country.
Right.
There's actual laws.
Of course.
And every time, like, look, for example, like with Black Wall Street, the first bombing in the history of the world.
First terrorist attack.
That's the first aerial attack.
Yeah.
Not Nagasaki, no. Oklahoma.
Yeah.
To stop their economic prosperity where they're like, no, we're just trying to help each other out. It's fucking evil.
That's a catch-22. I mean, even as we were talking about the whole reparations thing, it's like you see some communities, there's a fear, whatever that fear is, the fear of what happens if this community does become economically powerful and independent, right? Then it's like, all the people who
benefit from it.
benefited.
Just something as simple as if black people had our own gas station, our own 7-Eleven.
Mhm.
Oh, or even you're a woman, beauty salon store.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what that does to the economic? Like, think about it. I lived in the jungles. Every corner was owned by a Chinese person or Korean person
Mhm.
that takes that money from us and takes it out, and they go all live in Moreno Valley,
Yeah.
and their kids go to UCLA and shit,
Yeah.
and we get no admission unless you can jump like Russell Westbrook.
Right.
I have a question.
He raised his hand.
I was like, I see something in the corner. Sorry.
So, if I had to ask you a question of what one law don't you believe in that you think we need to get rid of, what would that be?
One law
One
that
law.
I don't believe in.
Yes. Or you think it's outrageous or stupid?
Say with your chest.
This tax situation is one of those things. Like, we have to really redefine the tax codes, honestly. Unless you're really at the top portion, for those of us who fall below, it's one of those things where I sit here sometimes and I'm just like, my goodness, like my current situation. I grew up here in California, but was in DC. And so now I'm back to California and unfortunately have to pay taxes to multiple places. And so I know that's kind of more of like not a first world problem, but a different issue.
First world.
It's very much a first world problem. Right. But when I also think about like low income communities, I'm just like, I can't imagine having so much of your taxes being taken, from your paycheck and you're just barely making it, trying to survive, right? And then you have X amount that, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily seem proportionate to the struggle in which folks are going through, right? And when you think about like, okay, folks in this community, they're getting their taxes taken, but it's not reflective of the resources that are then put back into their communities. So, or maybe a redirection for folks who are at the top. We have to take some of those taxes, redirect some of it, not just from their community, but a portion of it to the next adjacent low-income community to theirs. So, yeah, I think the tax structure needs to be refigured out. I don't know how, I don't know who's going to do it, but...
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit more longer.
No, go ahead. I was like, I have one we should fix. Rent control, right? In LA, it's too fucking expensive. In 1992, an average person's income, only 33% of it went to their house. In 20 years,
it's like
65,
a living statistic.
That's fucking right.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart. That's good to know.
I'm like,
right.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 20 years, 65% of people's monthly income goes to the rent. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Rent or mortgage. That's crazy.
That's insane.
That's insane. This place ain't that great, and I'm from here.
And
we don't always all go to the beach all the time.
Yeah.
The beach and the weather.
And it's only going up.
And that's crazy. That's what we need to fucking change. Rent control.
Do you have any suggestions how to fix something like that? Or how to fix anything when it comes to housing?
Unfortunately, we had here in California, especially like the tech boom. So we have a lot of these high-skilled folks who are coming in. And we don't really have anything that's like consistent or sustainable for people that aren't in those income brackets, right? But rent control, a lot of it is just like the greed of the people. They realize that there are people who are willing to come here and live here and pay more for less. So you have communities of folks that have been here forever where I'm trying to think of some neighborhoods where you're like, it's close to like Redondo Beach. I mean, Redondo Beach has always been nice, but in my opinion, has never really been like
exactly
the place that people be like, I want to live near Redondo.
When Sugar Free makes a reference to Redondo Beach, it ain't that high, man.
You
Sugar Free, by the way.
That's hilarious.
That's true.
But go ahead.
But, now you go to Redondo Beach and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You look at the income there and it's because you have a lot of folks who are working in the South Bay who are coming for tech and for some of these other companies that are willing to pay a lot more for a lot less, right? So that rent control.
So rich motherfuckers is messing us up. Sounds
yeah.
like.
The 1%ers are messing it up for all of us. Go ahead, Huck.
All right, I'm going to put you back on the hot seat.
Holla.
So I need you to close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Close my eyes.
Yes, close your eyes. And when you open them, I want you to imagine yourself on the set of CNN.
Okay. Oh.
And
millions.
No, you can open them now.
Okay.
Millions of black people are listening to you right now.
Okay.
I need
a lot of pressure.
I need you to tell them right now what we can do to help ourselves?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that you can do to help yourselves, you have to get educated. So if you, as of today, don't know who your local like representatives are, I would challenge everybody, whatever you're doing, go to house.gov, go to senate.gov. They have a little search bar in there. You can put in your address and it'll tell you who your local representatives are in terms of who's representing you in the House. Find out who your senator is or senators. And then you can also go to your local city, like go to your mayoral website and figure out who is your mayor and your local like city representatives. And then from there, if there are issues that are happening in your community, start writing to them. Start actually going and showing up their office. Let me tell you, as a staffer, one of like the things that I really annoyed, but I also really appreciated about people in the Bronx is that they would come constantly. Like there were some folks that I just knew. I'd be like, it's a Wednesday. This person is going to be here at this time.
Oh, Larry, you're back.
Yes, basically.
When you say the Bronx, you mean Bronx, New York?
Bronx, New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked for a New York representative, Bronx, New York. Yeah.
Bronx, baby.
Bronx.
I was like, what other Bronx do we know? Right?
Did you do
No,
the
you
X
just-
or was it?
Not the Larry Johnson, no.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think because maybe the microphone's in the way. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah,
So I was like,
what-
all right.
yeah.
All right, continue. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
All right, so like when it comes to different type of things, like the way we can educate ourselves, because some of those ways might be considered to some boring, right?
Yeah.
Are there easier ways, or are there, I guess, just like an easier way to digest that might be for like our lingo too? Because we might not understand some of the lingo, and that's why we might be like, hey, I can't even look at this anymore. Is there any places that we can probably go, or videos that we can watch that just make it easier for us to understand?
There are definitely like videos. Those are things that I'll share with you guys. So
Yes.
share with your
And we're going to put it
listeners.
under the
We'll put
link
the,
in
we'll put the
YouTube.
link, yeah.
Yeah. The big thing too, it's like you really just getting out into the community is number one.
Keep the camera on her. She's about to sneeze.
Getting out into the community. So a little known, like not little known, but we have libraries in our communities, unfortunately, because Amazon and all of the like e-commerce.
Yeah.
People don't really think about going to their libraries or like community centers, but that's often like a place where you can get a lot of information, and where people who are trying to do things locally, they'll often like hold their conversations and their talks there. And you don't, it's free for the most part. So like, unless you're not returning your books, but it's free to get a library card. And libraries are still great resources. Like, the librarians there will typically know what are some other things that are happening in the community. I think sometimes getting information face to face and being able to still have those like human to human transactions are easiest for folks, instead of having to like log on, like I said, and go onto the site and do that. So that's a very easy way for people to kind of figure out like what's going on, or even going, most cities, like their city council, those meetings are pretty much open unless they have a closed session. So that's the first way to know and figure out like who is your city council member, like what are they doing. We
should definitely go in big groups all the time and just roll up deep.
Yeah.
What's cracking, homie? What's up?
When I was in grad school, we did the Watts Men's Healthcare Fair,
Mm-hmm.
and there, literally, you'll find out what laws are passing, what's happening in healthcare. There was literally people there that had no like healthcare or I don't know, what is it, dental care or any dental care. There was literally dentists there with their kids, like, oh, go in there, go talk to this person. People were just walking in with no dental care, walking out with like Medi-Cal. Man, I have an appointment at the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, literally, if it wasn't for that healthcare, I wouldn't have braces. And I was like, dang, I didn't even know this information was like available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, and spread that information if we know it to each other too.
Right.
Word of mouth is very huge. I think if you know anything,
and you all have a platform too. So if you're hearing about things that are happening in LA, that's like a good place to be able to share that information to people who are curious. Because Instagram now, a lot of folks utilize those places too, as where to find information. So I know there are a couple like local representatives that I follow like on my Instagram, and they usually will talk about things that they're doing in the community.
Yeah.
That's also a great place where you can go and meet with them, because they also love a photo opportunity. So.
Yeah, and I forgot where I heard it. I thought it might have been on the radio or somewhere, but I heard when it came to like, I know a lot of people, especially in our community, Black people, have mental health issues. We don't like to discuss it, but there's this website. We put the website in the link also.
Yeah.
But it's like a website that you can go to, and you can go if your insurance might cover your mental, like might cover your your therapy sessions for
Right,
free
right.
if you have like Medi-Cal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like those are things that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't. But people like when black people hear about therapy, they're like, "Yo, I ain't paying like $100 an hour for that." But if you can get it for free
Right.
or get it for maybe $20 a session,
Right.
Right.
why not? So I'll definitely be putting that link in there.
Holla.
Because I just started, so I'm gonna start doing it too. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like that's the information I think for us when we know stuff like that, we have to give that information to each other. We always be like, nah, man, I can't let you know about that, bro. I gotta hold that. It's like, nah,
Right.
man, I'm all about giving the information out. So
Yeah.
especially to our people, especially to get us on the right track and back on track.
Yeah, because if we don't grow, I don't grow.
Exactly.
Right.
Facts.
Right. So, Luca.
Oh, Luco.
Luco.
Luco. All right.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah, like sister. Oh, like Luco.
Luco.
We want to thank you for being on this podcast. This was a real dope and informative episode. Like,
Do you have anything you want to say, like question wise, like or like information that you might just have that
cut me off.
that we should know? My bad. Cut you off.
No.
Yeah. But just my bad. Yeah. But just that like the community should know or anything like that when it comes to politics or just any information in general.
I think I've pretty much kind of shared the most like basic starter tips in terms of like really start local. I think I can't emphasize that enough because a lot of folks, we're worried about the president, but there's a whole chain of command before it gets to the president in terms of whose ears, you could be in or who you can be in front of to get that information there. And it really, you don't really need a lot of resources. If there's an issue like in your community, say if you're having, I don't know, it could be trash is not being picked up regularly. That's something that you can take to your city council. And all you need is really your neighbors to come together and signing petitions and things that you can do where it doesn't necessarily involve money or cost. It's really your presence is number one. If you're, presence is like really number one. If your kid goes to a school and you're recognizing that there are things that they're not having access to in comparison to maybe the charter school up the street, like show up at the school, go and find it. If you don't know your kid's principal, talk to the principal and then say, hey, I want to know who's a part of the school board in this area and, start going through that process. So start local and then go from there. And you have to, I know it can seem intimidating in terms of like looking at some of those sites like CNN and New York Times and all those things. But I tell people it's definitely something that you should pay attention to because like the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, even the LA Times, those are places that are going to really tell you like in real time what's happening nationally and also locally in your community. And sometimes your community might also have a local newspaper. So if you can get access to that, read that too. Yeah.
I'm impressed. I just want to get those links so we can send it out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get those links.
Yes.
So go where? Well, can you give us your handle? Can you
I
give us
can give.
Yeah.
So I can give the handle. No, the only thing is, for those of us who've worked in some of these places, it's that whole thing of like somebody popping up like, what? You're on a podcast. They were talking about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yes, it's completely different though.
Yeah.
My episode.
Oh yeah. All the crazy stuff. That's us. That ain't her.
Yeah, that's not me.
That's our views.
That's our views.
Or my
Yeah,
views.
These are
on
these
the
are
things
all
I
my
said.
views. They're not reflective of my employers, past or previous. Okay.
Yeah. You Gucci. They come after us.
Yeah.
No.
And Mikey Ports.
Are you just gonna drop him in?
Yeah.
Just drop him. No, I just
He's
have to
like,
speak the legalese.
first day on the job.
Okay.
I'm out of here.
But you all can follow me at the _Afronista. So that's AFRONISTA. The Afronista. And I'm a bad Congolese person because I'm not wearing yellow today.
Yeah, you're right. So right now, we're shooting this on the 23rd.
Yes.
Is wearing yellow for Congo. We're trying to support the Congolese women that have been like raped, abused, and we're trying to inform people to donate to what is it, Sunny? Oh gosh, this is terrible.
We're both
I'm gonna put it in the
Woo,
link.
boy.
I'll put it in the link.
Let me tell you something.
both
I'll put it in the link. Oh, we're terrible, right? At least I'm wearing yellow, right?
On you.
Right. So we can try to help these Congolese women go into nursing because health is a huge problem in Congo. So we're all wearing yellow. She's not. I am.
But I'm a Congolese woman, so I support women
support
every
you
day, all day.
Right, but forget Howard. Anyhow, you can follow me at Aziza Funny. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, actually Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keenan, holla.
Yeah, I'm Keenan Baker on everything.
Holla.
Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff like that.
Holla.
I'll get my comedy album called I Might Need Therapy.
Holla.
It's great. It's funny.
Hilarious.
Follow my anime podcast. It's talk about anime and all that shit like that. It's dope. Animation.
Holla.
We out here in the streets.
Huck. All right.
Huca Bera, Space went with.
Drop one more thing.
Oh, she wants to drop
Yeah, go
one
ahead.
thing.
Okay. Also, I've led with the whole Congolese thing because I am leading a conference for Congolese business, folks who are interested in business in Congo and Congolese entrepreneurs. So, it'd be cool for y'all to come out as like the entertainment side.
I'm there.
It's going to be taking place in Manhattan on September 21st. So
Wait, you're doing that summit?
yes, I am. It's
Oh, I
called
didn't know it was you.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, shit.
I'm a Jane of a lot of trades. It's the Congolese Diaspora Impact Summit. So you can actually find us at Congo Dis Summit. We'll make sure we put that also in the notes. But it'll be on the 21st in New York, and it's during the UN General Assembly. So for people who are kind of interested in some of what we've talked about here on a micro U.S. national scale, we'll be talking about that a little bit more as it pertains to Congo and creating economic opportunities in the Congo. So support.
You're doing real stuff. But no, I want to thank you for coming, and we're going to put all the links there so you guys can follow, subscribe, comment, and give your opinion on politics, and we will respond. All right, but thanks for watching. What's the hook?
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.